I was asked to do an idea for Medea. I'd asked last week to see, was there anything in particular that people would like to see? How would I go about producing an idea of that? And so I gathered a little bit of material together, had a quick reread of the thing. I know the play fairly well at this stage, so it's not actually all that much of a challenge to get through it again. I used to teach this Medea for most of the last 10 odd years. Probably taught it 6 out of the last few years, 6 years out of the last 10, and I've only been teaching for 9. Partly because it's a really good play, partly because I think it's a play that connects. So seeing as I got no specific remit and no, oh, you must do this and blah, 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 I just had a little bit of fun with it. My ideas tend to be somewhat minimalist anyway, because I never had the money to spend, so I don't start thinking about those things. But I had a little bit of fun, as you can see on the wall, various different ideas. I'll start picking some of these off and looking at them. First thing, the easiest thing to start with is, what's the first thing I do when I look to cast a Medea? Firstly, I think back to the productions I've seen, and I generally try to see, I want to do something different. The most recent one I've seen in the flesh was the one here that Savage Rose did, an excellent production in, I think, 2016 in the Vault. I think directed by Rachel Vidal and starring Christy Rolap as Medea, and it was a really solid concept and was gripping and very engaging. I'm not going to talk about specific people for casting in it, because that will immediately have some people say, well, I would have done that better than she would, and I could have done that better than he would. I'm going to talk about an overview. The first thing I would do is, I think, cast a Medea. I think everything else revolves around the Medea you have. It's going to make a massive impact on who you cast. If you cast a particularly tall Medea, how does that impact it? I don't have a problem with a woman towering over a man, personally. But it is going to sort of, everything should be a choice. And with a role like Medea, like with Hamlet, like with Peer Gynt, like with a lot of the great plays, you kind of need to know who your main character is first. So, person who's listening out there, imagine you're my Medea. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. We can get around that. Okay, maybe you're a bit young, but think how you'd fit into this kind of world. Because I would have to change elements of this world to fit who you are, straight off. I would be very keen to make sure that this is a collaborative process and that I'm working with somebody to create a play, rather than I'm telling you, I'm not a dictator director. I'm more of a, what's your feeling? How do you feel about that? Who's the Medea that you are? So with that in mind, we're casting Medea ahead of everybody else. I would hold literally separate auditions for that part, and ideally have about a month and a half before we hold the other audition, so I can work with that person who's playing Medea and find out what and who the Medea we want it to be is, and then adapt around. Presuming makey up, some of the concepts that I'd like to play with would be some of these. Set-wise, this is, I don't know how visible this is. Yep. One of the things that I came up strongly with is an idea of Dante. I'll get to that in a moment. Medea is a woman on her own. She's come from Colchis. She is a traitor to the people of Colchis. She is a traitor to her family. And as the story goes on, whichever way you view her, positively or negatively, she continues to sort of follow that trope. Euripides is a little bit unkind, but then so was the ancient legend. But that sense of her being at the center of everything, surrounded by people who are not like her, is key. And I think it's important that whoever gets cast as Medea, they are different to everyone else. There's arguably there's an argument for making the tutor or the nurse the same as her. Now, what that means, it can vary depending on who's playing Medea. The thing that immediately crops to my mind is her being from distant Colchis. Have her be an African-American actress playing the part, and surrounded by a culture that does not understand and does not try to understand or recognize where she is coming from. But again, it could work a number of different ways. The most important thing is you get a good actress in the part, and it doesn't matter what is any identifiable characteristic about the person playing the part, as long as they're able to deal with this incredible part. Working from the basis of it's somebody who is an outsider within that world. I want it to be in the round almost, a sort of a thrust version of in the round, where the audience is surrounding. Now, you will see my Dantine circles, except instead of being concentric, they are all sort of roaming around the one area. You can see the center is the 9th circle, 8th, 7th. I didn't have cans and circular things in the house big enough to be able to do this the way I would like. But I am keen on having either a sort of a straight passage in, or some kind of pie slice out that is colorless. Colors at the moment are slightly arbitrary, because I was trying to think, I want these colors on the stage. I want there to be a separate zone for Medea, for Jason, for Aegeus, and for Creon, each correlating to different circles of the Dantine Inferno. So, for example, in the center, and never leaving that center, except perhaps from entry from here, or an exit at the back here. I do see that sort of being the door to the palace, so to speak, an escape route for her. So when is necessary, and that sort of the white territory is sort of neutral ground. Perhaps with rails, I don't know. I'd have to think about that more, and depend on what our budget is. But each of these circles color coded to sort of match. Then working our way in, the first circle is limbo, second is lust, third is gluttony. The fourth is the first one that I really have bothered to characterize here with green, which is greed. And I feel that's Creon's circle. His greed for succession, for maintaining the power within his family, that feels like his circle. The fifth is anger, and I think Creon could enter that circle as well from time to time. The sixth is heresy. I think that's where Aegeus lives. He is a good Greek. He's a king. He is a decent, solid, upright Greek, and he's going to this woman who is foreign and probably a witch, and presumably prays to gods that are not the good, solid Greek gods. And his desperation for a child, for an heir, is driving him into a situation where he is engaging in heresy of a kind. The next two circles are Jason's, the 7th and 8th, violence and fraud. Jason is a very violent person. His visit there is with a view to killing her when he comes back the second time. He is looking for vengeance. He is, again, angry, but I think the violence trumps that initially. But ultimately, he is a great fraud. He has sold her on a bill of goods that he is not delivered on. Yeah, honey, yeah, I love you long time, except, I just have to marry this girl because she's like hot and young and she's the king's daughter. I mean, love you, lady, love you, Medea, but... So he's, in my mind, a true fraud. The other thing with these circles that I feel is strong and important is they can be used as a way of separating her further. Nobody sets foot inside her circle. She is imprisoned there, as she is imprisoned within Greece at the time, as far as I would read it. So there's my little Dantine circles of hell getting to her. In the Inferno, the center circle was where Satan lay, frozen, which is why I went for that cold blue. Treachery is not something you do in the heat of the moment. It is something somewhat calculated, even if arguably Medea did it for a passionate reason in her initial one. Looking around other aspects of the technical side, I think it needs to be a fairly empty stage. I only perceive maybe a bench or two or a rail for the chorus to sit upon. Do the chorus go into the circle, or do they go around the circle? Is the audience directly around the outer circle? I would put the audience in limbo, which is the first circle personally. I can see it being maybe 3 deep. A row seated, a row on stools, or a row raised. And I'm tempted to have a row stand. That's me. That's odd. I would like to keep this play inside of 85 minutes. I know that sounds odd. Ideally, I want this to be 75 minutes long of a play. That means cutting. That means taking away the dead wood. And that may mean killing the chorus. The chorus is important. I've also considered, do we kill off the king of Athens, Aegeus? Does he go? Does he offers a good escape route, but who's going to be busy looking for her when they're going, oh my God, the king, and oh my God, Jason, well, screw Jason, and oh my God, her son. So the chorus could well disappear in my reading of it, which is a shame, but I think I want to keep this tense and short. I think that's how it has to be. It happens in a very short space of time, comparatively speaking. Anyway, empty stage, a couple of benches maybe for chorus or for the older characters, the likes of the nurse and the tutor who talk. I think I don't see them standing the whole time. I like the idea of different levels. And again, a place for Medea to sit. I don't know if it's a throne or what. Maybe I'm actually now starting to really like the idea of the throne. The idea of these pieces of bench, these chairs, I want them to look like the rotted wood of the Argo. At the end of the play, we hear Medea talk at length about, what's going to happen to you. Everyone's just going to go, oh, there's that guy, loser. And you'll just live out your life miserably, sitting in the wreck of your fame, which is the boat you sailed on, until in an act of mercy, one of the gods one day will allow one of the bows rotting through to fall and hit you on the skull, killing you in your rotting ship. And I like the idea of the bench and the chair that I'm now seeing her in being composed of what looks like old wood that's kind of been pulled off a ship. We also get into the whole philosophical idea of Theseus's ship. I think it's one of Zeno's paradoxes. They're all Zeno's, where if you replace every piece of wood on the ship, is it still the same ship? And what happens if you take all that wood that you've taken from one ship and you build another ship? Is the first ship Theseus' ship, or is the second one because it's the wood from his original ship? What else did I have? Yeah, empty stage. The chorus. Let's see. How ancient is this play? My thinking is this is a more modern staging, that the men wear double-breasted suits if they're kings. I worked all this stuff out. This is my idea of a sort of, I'm terrible at drawing, so forgive me, an idea for Medea's dress. You can see it's like low cut, but not too low cut. She's not prudish. Sleeveless. I really want some kind of texture to it. A sense that it's different, that it may be black, but it's different shades of black, and that it feels like it's really textured. I like the idea of it being ankle length as well, with the view that hopefully, maybe even longer, that it almost looks like she's hovering along. Costume-wise, because I don't feel it's an ancient play. I feel it's contemporary, even in its style, and I want to make that contemporaneity show. But in a sort of a, maybe it's this year, maybe it's 10 years ago, that kind of thing. The men would be suited, Creon having a tie, waistcoat, double-breasted, sorry, a single-breasted coat, no tie. Creon, double-breasted waistcoat, and unbuttoned. Jason would be sort of a shirt and an open jacket, no tie, because he's cool. Aegeus, why am I calling him Aegeus? That's a different guy, and he's a bad guy. He would definitely have the best suit because Athens is money, and even in money, he still has to seek out somebody from beyond what is known to aid his problem. So yeah, he would definitely have the best looking suit, like it screams money when he puts it on, and at the same time, he is more casual. It's a really nice shirt, but it's he's not got a tie. Coat is probably I don't know whether it's buttoned or not. It's the kind of thing you'd find out depending on who's your Aegeus. And the course, again, if we have the course, or failing that, at least the educator and the nurse would be greys and browns, similarly textured to Medea. The nurse and the educator refer to each other as slaves, which at the time was fairly accurate. I don't know whether I'd want to keep that language in it or not, because this is America that we're producing in. The word slave, for very, very good reasons, is a very charged word. How do we do it? Do we keep these two, the nurse and the tutor, the same as Medea? Are they of her land? Did she have them brought over for familiarity and comfort? I kind of feel that would be the case. It does, though, leave her less alone. And I do like the idea of her being alone. Maybe she's dismissed. Maybe they're dismissed. I know the educator's gone early. The educator could easily be a Greek. But maybe the nurse is dismissed by Jason and never makes her way back. I don't know. If there's a chorus, they need to be Greeks, I think, more than Greeks, but sympathetic, rather than foreigners as well. Whoops. Let me see, what did I drop? All these little bits. Yeah, that's audience stuff. Ship. Should the unsitter stand? Are there gods? It's always important when you do with a Greek play. The gods are relevant, but do we believe in them? Does Creon believe in the gods, or is he just realpolitik? Is Jason a believer in the gods, or is he realpolitik? I think the realpolitik of it is important. I think gods are expedient to these people when they can use them. So if the gods are somebody that Medea believes in, and then we have an element of unbelievers cast over, that would be interesting to me. I think, speaking of Jason and realpolitik, we need him to believe that he's doing the right thing. He's got to think that he's the good guy. He's the hero because he's been the hero. He's always been treated like the hero. He's always acted like the hero. And even when he's doing this, there's other people thinking, oh my God, thank you so much, Jason. You are giving of yourself for the good of our country. I feel that Aegeus should be accompanied at all times. Like there's somebody in the background just there to make sure he gets there on time. I kind of want to see Glauce, the daughter of Creon, doesn't show up in the play. And I think she's an important character that we need to, I don't know, how do we fit her in? I don't know. These are the kind of things you do in discussion. Let me see. What do I have here? Medea. No one touches Medea. She remains a pariah, unclean. She shrugs from the good and from the touch. She's kind of the Lady Macbeth of Greek theatre in so many ways. I mean, arguably Clytemnestra, but really Medea has that energy, that power that nobody else quite achieves, male or female. That kind of that resolve, I think might be the way to put it. Is she sympathetic or not? I don't know. It depends on the actress as well. I remember Fiona Shaw's Medea. It was wonderful. It was amazing. It was devastating. And I don't want to do that one. I never want to do the plays I've seen. I want to do them the way I haven't seen them. Fiona Shaw's, she is a woman on the edge of madness and is by times fury and by times crazy. I kind of feel there's got to be an edginess. There's got to be that I don't know what she's going to do. Because she is, again, for us in the audience as well as the character on the stage, different, strange, unreal, almost ethereal, almost a goddess in herself. But I kind of want it to be a cold burn, because in the end, it is revenge. It is her coming back and ending Jason in such a way that she does not need to kill him. And it's got to be cold. I don't know. Depends on the Medea, doesn't it? Anyway, that is a little bit on Medea for now. Next week, the plan is I'm going to talk about Hippolytus, and I'm going to talk about Phaedra by Seneca and by everybody else, as I think there's an interesting thread that runs through those plays. If you enjoyed that, somebody give me tons of money and I will make that show happen. I would love to make that show happen. I know somebody out there has the right dress for it already, and others of you may be running away to get them as we speak. But yeah, this was like a nice, silly little fun exercise for me to do, and kind of makes me burn to do the thing now. I've been working on different things and teaching them over the years, and I don't by any means feel that I know them through. I think you can only really know a play like Medea when you've done it.